The box sat on the hotel desk like it belonged there, wrapped in crisp white paper with a single silver ribbon that caught the morning light filtering through half-drawn curtains. I could still hear the ocean outside, lazy waves rolling in, indifferent to everything. My hands weren't shaking anymore, but my chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped wire around my ribs and pulled just enough to remind me I was still breathing. I pictured them opening it right now, somewhere on that private beach in Bali, maybe over champagne and fresh mango, laughing about how thoughtful their big brother had been. The card on top was simple: to the happy couple, may your life together be built on truth, with love, always. They wouldn't understand at first. They never did. My name is Marcus Holy. I'm 34. I grew up in a quiet suburb outside Seattle, the older son in a family that looked perfect from the outside. Dad, the steady engineer, Mum, the school teacher who baked pies for every neighborhood event, and my younger brother Ethan, the golden child who could charm anyone with a smile. I was the reliable one, the planner, the one who fixed things when they broke. I never minded, until the day everything broke and I was the only one left holding the pieces. I remember standing there in the hotel hallway, the door to their honeymoon suite still closed, the do not disturb sign hanging like a warning I ignored. My thumb hovered over the send button on the tracking confirmation. Delivered. 2 days ago. They would have seen it by now. And somewhere inside me, a voice whispered that this wasn't revenge. It was mercy. Or maybe justice. Or maybe just the only way I could finally breathe again. But let's go back. Because to understand why I sealed that box and let the postman take it away, you have to understand how deep the wound went, how long it festered. It started 4 months earlier, in the quiet weeks before the wedding. I was finalizing the seating chart, making sure our parents' tables didn't overlap too much with old family friends who still carried grudges from the last reunion. Ethan called me around 9 one evening, voice low, almost conspiratorial. "Hey, man, can you come over? Need to talk." I drove across town without thinking twice. That's what brothers do. He opened the door, looking like he'd been crying, which was impossible. Ethan didn't cry. Not when Dad had the heart scare last year. Not when he lost his job at 25 and moved back home for 6 months. But there he was, red-eyed, hair messy, wearing the same hoodie he'd had since college. "She's leaving," he said, before I even stepped inside. She wants to be with me." I laughed, once. A short, sharp sound that died in my throat when I saw his face. Sarah, my fiancée. The woman I'd proposed to under the same stars. We'd watched since we were kids. The one who'd picked out venues and argued over fonts for invitations and told me every night that she couldn't wait to start our life. Ethan nodded. She said she's sorry, that it just happened. I stood there in his living room, surrounded by half-packed boxes from his last move, and felt the floor tilt. My first instinct wasn't anger. It was confusion. Like the world had shifted 1 degree and nothing lined up anymore. When, I asked, a few months, maybe longer. I didn't hit him. I didn't yell. I just turned around and walked out. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and rain. When I got there, Sarah was gone. Her side of the closet empty. A note on the kitchen counter: "I love you, Marcus, but not the way I love him. I'm sorry." They eloped 3 days later. Quiet ceremony at the courthouse, just them and a witness. No family, no friends, no me. I found out from a mutual friend who thought I already knew. The humiliation burned slow at first. People called, texted, sent flowers like it was a death in the family. "We're so sorry. How are you holding up?" I smiled through it all, told everyone I was fine, that sometimes love changes, that I wished them happiness. But at night, alone in the house we'd planned to fill with kids, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every moment. The way Sarah laughed at Ethan's jokes a little too long. The family dinners where they'd sit next to each other and share glances I pretended not to see. The late-night work calls shared take in the other room. And then the doubt crept in. The one question I couldn't shake. Why did it feel so inevitable? Like I'd been waiting for this my whole life. I started digging. Not out of suspicion at first, it was just to understand. Old photos, letters, stories from our parents about when we were kids. Ethan and I had always been close, but there were gaps. Times when Mum would get quiet when Dad's name came up in certain contexts. A hospital stay for her when Ethan was conceived that no one ever explained fully. One rainy afternoon, I ordered the kits. 2, one for me. One I convinced Ethan to take under the guise of family ancestry project for Mum's birthday. He laughed it off, but did it anyway. Said it would be fun to see if we had any Viking blood. The results came back 3 weeks later. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the screen. The match was clear. 0% shared DNA on the paternal line. We weren't brothers. Not biologically. Not even close. The world tilted again. But this time, it felt like falling upward. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I just sat with it. Let it settle. Let the anger turn into something colder, sharper. Something that felt like clarity. They were on their honeymoon by then, posting photos of sunsets and intertwined hands, smiling like they'd won something. So I wrapped the printed results, the official letter from the lab, the chart that showed exactly where the break happened. I added a small note inside the card, handwritten, because some things deserve ink on paper. "You always said family is everything. Turns out, some families are built on secrets. Enjoy the view." I sealed the box, drove to the post office, and sent it. Now I'm sitting here, in the same hotel where they stayed their first night as husband and wife. The one I booked for them as a surprise. The room is empty, the bed untouched. Just me, the ocean, and the quiet knowledge that somewhere across the world, the truth has finally arrived. I don't know if they'll open it tonight, tomorrow, next week. But when they do, they'll understand. They ran off with the wrong idea of family, and I just gave them the only gift that matters, the truth. What happens next? Well, that's their story now. But mine's just beginning. Backstory, I need to slow down. My heart's racing again just thinking about it all. I should start from the beginning, the real one, before the box, before the elopement, before I even knew how deep the lies went. Growing up, we were the Harley boys. Everyone said it like it was a title. Marcus and Ethan, the responsible one and the charming one. I was 2 years older, always the protector. When Ethan fell off his bike at 8 and split his lip, I carried him home on my back, blood soaking my shirt. When he got bullied in middle school for being too pretty, too soft, I stepped in, took the punches, told him it was nothing. Dad was strict but fair. Mum was the heart. She had this way of looking at us like we were the best thing she'd ever done. I believed it. I still do, mostly, but there were cracks. Small ones. Dad worked long hours, came home tired. Mum would wait up for him, then they'd argue in whispers I pretended not to hear. About money, about promises, about things that happened before we were born. Ethan was always Mum's favorite. I never minded. He was the baby, the surprise. She called him her miracle because the doctors said she might not have more kids after me. Complications. She almost lost him during the pregnancy, or so she said. I went to college, got the engineering degree Dad wanted for me, came home every weekend, helped with the house, fixed the roof, mowed the lawn. Ethan partied, dated, dropped out, went back. I covered for him, paid his parking tickets, told Mum he was just finding himself. Then Sarah came into the picture. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was quiet, thoughtful, with his laugh that made everything feel lighter. We talked about books, about dreams, about how we'd both grown up feeling like the steady ones in chaotic families. I proposed after 2 years. She said yes with tears in her eyes. We planned the wedding together. Every detail. The venue by the lake. The string lights. The cake with vanilla and raspberry. Ethan was my best man. He toasted us at the engagement party, said he couldn't imagine anyone better for me. Looking back, the signs were there. The way head touched her shoulder when he passed her a drink. The inside jokes. The late-night texts I saw once on her phone when she left it charging. I told myself I was paranoid. I wasn't. The night he told me, I drove home and sat in the dark garage for hours. The house felt too big, too empty. I kept seeing their faces in every room. The future we'd planned. Gone. I didn't sleep for days. I walked the neighborhood at 3 a.m. I stared at old photos, and slowly the confusion turned to something darker. I needed answers, not just about them, about us. The DNA test wasn't revenge at first. It was curiosity, a way to prove I was still the older brother, still the one who held everything together. When the results came back, everything changed. We weren't blood. Dad wasn't his father. And suddenly, the betrayal wasn't just about Sarah. It was about every lie ID lived inside. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just started planning. Quietly, carefully, because some truths can't be spoken. They have to be delivered. And when they arrive forever. I didn't rush. That was the first rule I gave myself the moment the DNA results loaded on my laptop screen and the room seemed to get colder even though the heater was running full blast. Rage wants speed. Revenge demands patience. I closed the laptop slowly, the soft click louder than it should have been in the empty house. Then I stood up, walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water I didn't drink, and just stood there, listening to the refrigerator hum, listening to my own breathing, making sure the thing that had just cracked open inside me wasn't going to scream. It didn't. Instead, it whispered, very clearly, very calmly, "You've spent 34 years being the one who holds everything together. Now let them see what happens when you stop." The plan didn't arrive fully formed. It grew the way frost spreads across a window, slow, inevitable, beautiful in its cruelty. First came the questions I allowed myself to ask out loud, alone, at 3-something in the morning when the neighborhood was dead quiet. Who knew? Mom, Dad, both. Did Sarah know before she chose him? Did she choose him because she knew? I turned those questions over like stones in my hand, feeling their weight, their sharp edges, deciding which ones I needed answers to and which ones I could let stay buried. Some truths are weapons, others are only poison. I didn't want poison. I wanted precision, so I started small, subtle. I kept the same routine for weeks. Work, gym, coffee with friends who kept asking if I was really okay, grocery shopping at the same time every Saturday, smiling, nodding, saying things like, "It hurts, but I'm moving forward." People want to believe healing is linear. They relax when you perform it convincingly. Meanwhile, behind the performance, I created a new email account. No real name, Proton Mail. No phone number linked. I opened a PO box 2 towns over, paid 6 months in advance with cash. I bought a cheap second phone burner. Nothing fancy. Cash again only used it for one purpose. Documentation. I already had the DNA results, but labs send pretty PDFs these days. I wanted something heavier, something that carried weight when you held it in your hands. I contacted the testing company through the anonymous email. Explained I was doing a family heritage book as a surprise gift. Asked if they could provide a physical copy of the report, certified with embossed seal. Extra fee. No problem. Rush shipping. Even better. 3 weeks later, a stiff manila envelope arrived at the payer box. Inside, the full report on thick archival paper, the kind you can't tear without effort, the kind that makes a satisfying sound when you fold it. I read it again in my car in the parking lot, engine off, windows fogging. Paternity probability, 0.00% shared DNA markers, none expected for full siblings, none found. Conclusion, no biological relationship. I stared at those words until they stopped being words and became something closer to scripture. Then I photographed every page. High resolution. Backlit so the embossing caught the light. I made backups. Cloud storage under a different alias. External drive hidden in the garage, behind the Christmas decorations we never used anymore. Next, the card. I couldn't just send cold facts. Cold facts can be disputed, explained away, laughed off as a clerical error. People need narrative. They need story. They need something that hurts in the same shape as the love they told themselves they had. So I wrote it by hand. 3 different drafts on cheap notebook paper. First, practicing the tone. Not angry, not triumphant, quiet. Almost tender. The way you speak to someone you once loved when you're telling them it's over. Final version, to the happy couple. You both always said the most important thing is family. That blood is thicker than water. That love built on truth lasts forever. I believed those things too. I hope this gift helps you understand why some foundations crack before you even pour them. May your days ahead be as honest as the days behind us were not. With love that hasn't changed, only clarified, Marcus, I sealed it with a single drop of wax. Old habit from when Sarah used to collect those little stamps. The wax was deep navy, almost black. Then the box itself. I went to 3 different stores before I found the right one. Not too big, not flashy. Cream cardstock, matte finish, clean edges. The kind of box expensive jewelers use. Inside I lined it with black tissue paper, soft as a whisper. The report went in first, flat. Then the card on top, face up. I tied the silver ribbon myself. Slow, deliberate loops. The way Mum taught us when we were kids, wrapping Christmas presents for each other. Every motion felt like ceremony. When the box was finished, I set it on the dining table, the same table where Sarah and I used to eat breakfast, plan weekends, talk about kids. I looked at it for a long time. It was beautiful. It was terrible. I carried it to the car like it was fragile, like it might detonate if I breathed wrong. The post office was quiet, mid-morning on a Tuesday. Only one other person inside, an older woman mailing birthday cards. I set the box on the counter. The clerk, a guy maybe 25 with tired eyes, looked at it. "Pretty wrapping," he said. "Thanks. Anniversary gift." He nodded like he believed it. I chose Express International. Signature required. Tracking. Insurance high enough, they'd have to sign for it personally. He read the address aloud to confirm. Mr. and Mrs. Ethan and Sarah Haley, the Mulia Resort. Nusa Dua Bali, Indonesia, I corrected him gently. Actually, Mr. Ethan Carver and Mrs. Sarah Carver, Holly, they just got married. He fixed it without question. I paid in cash, and then I walked out into the daylight feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Light, not free, not innocent, but lighter. Like I'd finally put down a weight I'd been carrying since I was old enough to understand what family was supposed to mean. I didn't go straight home. I drove to the lake where we were supposed to get married. Sat on the same bench Sarah and I used to sit on when we were planning. Watched the water. Watched couples walk hand in hand. Watched a father teach his little girl how to skip stones. I didn't cry. I just breathed. And somewhere across the ocean, in a room with white curtains and salt air, a box was already moving toward them. Patient, inevitable, beautiful in its cruelty. I gave them almost exactly 3 weeks. Not because I was being kind. 3 weeks is just long enough for the first wave of newlywed euphoria to settle into something quieter, more real. Long enough for the Instagram posts to slow from 3 a day to maybe 1 every couple of days. Long enough for the tan lines to start fading and for the inside jokes to start feeling a little less electric. Long enough for the box to become just another thing that arrived during the honeymoon. Something they'd open when they were back home. Unpacking, still high on the memory of room service and sunrise walks. But I knew better. I tracked the package every single day. Not obsessively. Not in a way anyone watching would notice. Just a quick glance at the tracking number each morning over coffee. A refresh after lunch. A final check before bed. The status updates became a kind of liturgy. Departed facility. Seattle in transit. Los Angeles departed facility. Hong Kong arrived at destination facility. Denpasar out for delivery. When it changed to delivered. Signature obtained at 1147 their time. I was sitting in my car outside the gym. Engine off. Windows cracked. Rain tapping the roof like impatient fingers. I didn't smile. I didn't feel triumph. I felt recognition. Like I'd finally matched the last piece in a puzzle I hadn't realized I'd been staring at for years. Then I waited. I waited the way you wait after you drop a stone into very deep water. You know the ripples are coming. You just don't know exactly when they'll reach the shore. The first sign came 8 days later. A text from Ethan. Not a call, not a voice message, just text. Short. Careful. Hey man, got back yesterday. Thanks for the gift. We opened it last night. What the hell is that about? No emojis, no punctuation that tried to soften it. Just raw confusion wrapped in a thin layer of brotherly concern. I didn't answer right away. I let it sit. Let the read receipt turn blue. Let him see that I'd seen it. 2 hours later, another one. Marcus. Seriously, call me. I didn't. Instead, I went for a long drive. Up the coast. Past the turnoff to the lake where the wedding was supposed to happen. Past the little seafood place Sarah used to love. I drove until the sun dropped low and the sky turned that bruised shade of purple it only gets in winter. When I finally pulled into my driveway, my phone had 7 missed calls. 3 from Ethan, 2 from Mum, 1 from Dad, 1 from a number I didn't recognize, probably Sarah's new phone. The one she got after she changed carriers to start fresh. I turned the phone off. Plugged it in on the kitchen counter like it was nothing important. Made dinner, ate alone, washed the dishes. Then, around 10:30, I turned it back on. The notifications poured in like water through cracked glass. Mum, sweetheart, are you okay? Ethan is very upset. He says something about a DNA test. Please call me. Dad, son, whatever is going on, we need to talk. Family first. Ethan again. If this is some kind of joke, it's not funny. Pick up the damn phone. And then finally Sarah. Marcus, I don't know what you think you're doing, but this is cruel. Even for you. Call Ethan. He's falling apart. Even for you. Those 3 words landed harder than the rest. I sat on the edge of the bed, phoned in both hands, staring at them. Even for you. The reliable one. The fixer. The one who never made scenes. The one who swallowed every hurt and kept walking forward. I typed back. 1 message. To all of them in a group chat I'd never used before. I'm fine. Just making sure everyone has all the facts. Good night. Then I turned the phone off again. The next morning I woke up to silence. No new messages. No calls. Just the ordinary sounds of the house settling. Pipes ticking. Wind against the windows. It felt final. Like the first real breath after holding it underwater too long. But I wasn't done setting the stage. There was still a few quiet moves left to make. I printed another copy of the report. Same thick paper, same embossed seal. This one I mailed to my parents. No note, just the document in a plain envelope, addressed to both of them. Return address, the same P.O. box. I wanted them to see it without warning, without rehearsal. I wanted Mum to open it while Dad was at work, or maybe Dad to find it first. I wanted the moment when one of them had to decide whether to hide it or hand it over. I didn't need to witness it. Knowing it was happening was enough. Then I changed my locks. Not because I was afraid they'd show up, because I wanted the house to feel like mine again. New keys, new deadbolt, new feeling of closing the door behind me and knowing exactly who had permission to come through it. I also started packing Sarah's things, not throwing them away, just boxing them. Carefully, her books, her sweaters, the little ceramic bird she bought in Portland, the half-used candles, the engagement ring I'd slipped off her finger the night she left on the counter like it was nothing. I taped the boxes shut, labeled them, stacked them in the garage next to the Christmas decorations. They weren't for her. Not really. They were for me. A reminder that some things end cleanly, completely. And then, 10 days after the delivery, the silence broke. My mother called. Not texted. Called. At 7:04 in the morning. I answered. Her voice was small. Smaller than I'd ever heard it. Marcus, honey, we got something in the mail yesterday. Your father and I, it's a DNA test. I didn't speak. She kept going, words tumbling over each other like they'd been waiting behind a dam. It says Ethan isn't, that your father isn't. I don't understand. Please tell me this is a mistake. Please. I waited until she ran out of breath. Then I said, very quietly, it's not a mistake, Mom. A sound came through the line, something between a sob and a gasp. I continued, I didn't make it up. I didn't forge it. It's real. And now you all know. Silence stretched. Long. Heavy. Then she whispered, why would you do this to us? I closed my eyes. Because you did it to me first. I hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt empty. But the empty felt honest. The setup was complete. The stage was lit. Now all that was left was for them to step into the light and see what they'd really built their lives on. The first real crack came on a Thursday evening, just after 8, when the sky outside was already full dark and the streetlights had that tired orange glow they get in winter. My phone rang once. Stopped. Rang again. Ethan. I let it go to voicemail the first time. The second time I answered, but I didn't speak. I just listened. His breathing came through first, uneven, like he'd been walking fast or crying, or both. Then his voice, quieter than I'd ever heard it. Marcus, please, just talk to me. I waited. The silence stretched long enough that I could hear the faint clink of ice in a glass on his end. He'd poured something, probably whiskey, the expensive bottle I'd bought him for his 25th birthday that he'd never opened until then. Why? He finally asked. One word. Small. Broken. I answered slowly, each word measured like I was laying tiles, because I found out the same way you did. By accident. By looking. By caring enough to want the truth. Another long pause. You sent it to Mum and Dad too, he said. Not a question. Yes. A sound escaped him, half laugh, half choke. You really hate me that much? I thought about it. Really thought. No, I said. I don't hate you. I loved you. I protected you. I carried you on my back when you were bleeding. I paid your debts. I stood up for you when no one else would. I'll let you be the favorite because I thought that's what brothers do. And then you took the one person I believed loved me back. My voice stayed even. I didn't raise it. I didn't need to. You didn't just take Sarah, I continued. You took the life I thought we were all building. The family dinners, the holidays, the future where we'd be uncles together. You took it and you smiled while you did it, and the whole time, you weren't even my brother. The line went so quiet I thought he'd hung up. Then he whispered, I didn't know. I almost believed him. Almost. You didn't know you weren't Dad's? I asked. No, I swear. I didn't know anything until that box showed up. Sarah didn't either. We thought it was a sick joke. Some kind of revenge because we hurt you. We didn't think it was real. Not at first. I let the silence answer for me. Then I asked the question that had been burning since the results came in. Did you ever think about me after you left? Did you ever wonder what it did to me? He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice cracked open. Every day, I closed my eyes. Good, I said, and then I hung up. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. The conversation was over. The next morning, Mom showed up at my door, unannounced. No call. Just the doorbell at not quite 7, while the coffee was still dripping. She looked smaller than I remembered. Hair not done. Eyes red. Wearing the same coat she'd had for 15 years, the one Dad bought her in Vancouver on their 20th anniversary. I opened the door, didn't invite her in, just stood there in the threshold. She tried to smile. It didn't reach her eyes. "May I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. She walked straight to the kitchen like she still lived here, sat at the table, folded her hands. I stayed standing. "I'm not here to fight," she said. "I'm here to explain." I leaned against the counter, crossed my arms. "Go ahead." She took a breath that sounded painful. "When I found out I was pregnant with Ethan, your father and I were already having problems. Long story. Money, distance, other things. I was scared, lonely. There was someone at work. A colleague. It was brief. It was a mistake. I ended it before it could become anything more." She looked up at me, eyes wet. "I never told your father. I couldn't. I convinced myself the baby was his. The dates were close enough. I told myself it didn't matter, that love was what made a family, not blood." I didn't move. She kept going. "When Ethan was born, he looked nothing like your father, but he looked like me, and I told myself that was enough. I loved him so much. I loved you both so much. I thought if I buried it deep enough, it would stay buried." A tear slid down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. "I was wrong," she said. "I was a coward. And because I was a coward, you paid for it. Both of you did." I looked at her for a long time. Then I said the only thing that felt true. "You didn't just lie to Dad. You lied to us. Every day, every hug, every my boys. You built our whole childhood on a lie. And when it cracked, you let me be the one who had to pick up the pieces again." She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't take it either. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." I nodded once. "I know." Then I walked to the front door, opened it. "I need time, Mum." She stood slowly, wiped her face with the sleeve of her coat. "I understand." She paused in the doorway. "Will you ever forgive me?" I looked past her at the grey morning light. "I don't know yet." She left. The door closed with a soft click. I stood there for a long time. After that, things happened in pieces. Sarah texted once. Just once. "I didn't know. I swear. I loved you. I still care about you. I'm sorry for everything." I didn't reply. What was there to say? Ethan tried calling again. Twice. I didn't pick up. Dad never called. Never texted. I don't know if he even read the report. I don't know if he's spoken to Mum since she told him. Some silences are louder than screaming. Weeks passed. The holidays came and went. No invitations. No cards. Just quiet. I spent Christmas alone. Made a small roast. Opened one bottle of wine. watched the snow fall outside the window. It was the first Christmas in 34 years I didn't feel obligated to be anywhere. It felt clean. Not happy. Not yet. But clean. The reckoning wasn't fireworks. It wasn't shouting in the street. It wasn't anyone falling to their knees, begging for forgiveness in the rain. It was quieter than that. It was doors closing, phones going silent, truths landing where they'd always been meant to land, and me Fennell standing in the middle of the wreckage, not as the fixer, not as the older brother, not as the reliable one, just as Marcus, breathing for the first time in years, breathing. Months have passed since the last call, since the last text, since the last time any of them reached out and found the silence waiting on the other end. It's winter again, colder than last year, or maybe it just feels that way because there's no one left to pretend warmth for. The house is different now, not empty, quiet. I took down the photos of the four of Usmi, Ethan, Sarah, the whole fake perfect family unit at holidays, birthdays, summer barbecues. I didn't throw them away. They're in a plain cardboard box in the attic, sealed with clear tape, labeled simply before. I don't go up there. I don't need to look back to remember. I kept one picture though, a small one. Me and Ethan, maybe 10 and 8, sitting on the front steps after a rainstorm. Mud on our sneakers, grinning like idiots. Arms around each other's shoulders. That one I framed. Small black frame. Placed it on the bookshelf between two novels I've never finished. It's not forgiveness. It's acknowledgement. We were boys once. We loved each other once. That part was real, even if the foundation underneath was sand. Sarah and Ethan didn't stay married long. I didn't hear it from them. I heard it from a cousin who still felt guilty enough to text me every few months, checking in like someone monitoring a wound that won't close. They split up quietly last spring, the message read. No big announcement. Just done. She moved back to Portland. He's still here in Seattle, but he's renting now. Sold the condo. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing back one word, thanks. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. The truth I sent had done what truth does when it arrives late and uninvited. It sat in the middle of the room until no one could pretend it wasn't there. Love built on half-lies can survive many things, distance, fights, even betrayal, but it cannot survive clarity. Not when the clarity is absolute. My mother and father are still together. Sort of. They live in the same house. They go to the same grocery store. They attend the same church on Sundays. But the rooms feel bigger now. The silences are longer. Dad retired early. Mum stopped volunteering at the library. I don't know if they talk about it. I don't know if they sleep in the same bed. I don't ask. We see each other maybe 4 times a year. Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, birthdays, if someone remembers to send an invitation. The gatherings are careful, polite. No one mentions the box. No one mentions the test. We talk about weather, work, the neighbor's new dog. We smile when it's appropriate. We hug when it's time to leave. And every time I drive away, I feel the same small release in my chest. Not relief. Not joy. Just the quiet knowledge that I no longer have to carry their version of the story. As for me, I'm 35 now. The house is mine alone. I painted the bedroom walls a soft grey blue that Sarah would have hated. I bought a new mattress. I planted a small garden in the backyard, nothing ambitious. Just herbs and some lavender that comes back every year, whether I deserve it or not. I started running again. Early mornings, before the sun, when the streets are still wet from night sprinklers. My breathing is steady now, not forced, not angry, just steady. Sometimes I think about what I did, not with pride, not with shame, with distance, like looking at a photograph of someone else's life. Was it cruel? Yes. Was it necessary? For me's, I could have swallowed the truth. I could have smiled at the wedding I wasn't invited to. I could have sent a card that said congratulations and meant none of it. I could have stayed the good brother, the good son, the good ex. And I would have died inside a little more each day until there was nothing left but a polite shell. Instead, I chose detonation, clean, surgical. I chose to let the truth do the work. I could never do with words or tears or fists, and the cost. I lost a brother I never really had. I lost parents who were never fully mine. I lost the woman I thought would be the mother of my children. But I gained something heavier than all of it combined. I gained the right to wake up in my own skin and not feel like a guest there. I gained mornings where I decide what the day will hold. I gained nights where I sleep without replaying every betrayal on loop. I gained the slow, difficult freedom of being the only author of my story from this point forward. I don't know if Ethan ever forgives me. I don't know if Sarah ever thinks of me without anger. I don't know if Mum whispers apologies to herself in the dark. I don't need to know, because the gift I sent them wasn't really for them. It was for me. A wedding gift to the life I'm finally allowed to live, unscripted, unborrowed, unapologetically mine. And that, after everything, feels like the only justice worth having.